Hey everyone, welcome to the deep dive. Ian is trying to suppress a smile because he's always amused by intros. I don't know why. He likes beginnings in life. Hey, if you like beginning to expand your knowledge of Texas sports, you need to join Inside Texas. Go sure, go there. Make sure you join, and of course, make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. We'll fix all this in post. I'll look very slick depending on our producer's excellent work. Hey, it's feeling a little drafty in here, Ian. What's the temperature in Texas right now?
I don't know. It's warmer now, upper 50s, I think.
Okay, well, it's in the 40s here, a little drafty. And speaking of draft, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to be talking about our needs in the portal and who we need to get. And Ian and I are going to do this as a sort of draft rubric to discuss this. We're going to talk about our prioritization of need, what that is. And I think some of our offseason work has already demonstrated what our number one need is, Ian. So I'll let you begin the draft. You won the coin flip before the show. You get to draft first. The whole board is yours, Ian. Where are you going to go?
I did better than win a coin flip, Paul. I picked a number between 1 and 10, and I picked the exact right number.
That he picked exactly the number that Connor, the producer, was thinking of. I didn't even get a chance because I could have picked the same number and tied him. But I guess they to me, I think Connor probably texted you the number, and that's why you got it. But that's fine.
It's your idea, so I don't think that's how it worked.
All right.
With the number one pick.
The board is yours, Ian.
I want yet another defensive tackle.
Oh, interesting.
Before anyone asks, we recorded this already knowing that Hero Canoe is committed to Texas. So it's not like, oh, they got Hero Canoe, now they're good. I still don't know if they're good, Paul. We've both watched a little bit of Brevard. We're not sure how to say his name.
We're not sure if he's Brevard or Brevard, but we're going to say Brevard.
We think he's pretty good. I've watched a little bit of Shaw. I'm not sure if you have watched very much yet. He might be good. He's not great yet, but he might actually end up being really good if he makes a Vernon Broughton type leap this year. And then I could barely find any Canoe to watch because they didn't play him that much. And an Ohio State guy I talked to earlier today expressed surprise that he was able to get so many top programs interested in him.
I think probably proof of two things: the paucity of talent, of available talent in that position, and two, everyone loves an upside, Ian, especially at defensive tackle. And this is a young man who grew up in Germany, played soccer. I think his parents are Nigerian and German, which is a quality combo of genetics. That's a quality genetic lottery to be a part of. But that's a guy that often the light will turn on at some point, and they become something that they very much were not just 6 months or a year before. So that's the bet, but it's not a very certain bet, and that's why you'd like another defensive tackle. Is that fair?
Yeah. Now, I don't know if they can find a guy that's like a sure thing. Oregon thought they got the two most sure thing guys in the portal last year.
Yeah.
And they got run over in the last two games that they played. So it's just more bites at the apple would be good. I remember when Oklahoma had this problem with Venables, and he just kept taking like jags in the portal. And it was like, what are you doing? And then what he did was he just rotated them like every 5 snaps.
Yeah.
And he was like, y'all are all going to be all Big 12 borderline quality for 4 snaps. And then I'm going to get you a break. And that could kind of work.
This is a position you can attack through volume. Also, the fact is the portal, it giveth and it taketh. And Texas has brought guys in the portal, kicked the tires on them in the spring, and then told them, yeah, you're not a fit here. And the guy portals out. So Kendrick Blackshire, right? The Alabama linebacker, we brought him in, kicked the tires, and said, yeah, it's probably not a fit. And he went and transferred out somewhere else. So this is possible to do also at defensive tackle. I think if we do find the 4th defensive tackle that you're drafting here, it's going to happen in the spring.
Yeah, I think it has to.
Okay. Well, I think defensive tackle is a priority. I think you see that by the fact that we have 3 and we're still going to go get another one. You might as well make sure you address that position, because if you have a real deficit there, boy, that's a thing that can plague you the entire season. All right, let's talk about the number 2 draft pick.
Real quick before you take your first pick.
Okay.
How high does Kenny Baker, R2D2, rise in your esteem if he is able to turn one of these guys into another draft pick?
It counts for a lot. I think it does, because half of the management and development of a defensive tackle is identifying the proper traits physically, but then about half of the thing for defensive tackles is mental and getting them to learn the techniques, but also to just play really hard and get into shape. Travis Shaw was a 5-star out of high school and basically underperformed and didn't live up to potential because he never got in shape. So I think it's very possible here. And we've frankly seen it at the University of Texas several times, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he would really go raise up in our estimation as a position coach and a developmental guy if he gets one of these guys to pop. If he gets 2 of them to pop, look out. All right. Speaking of 2, let's talk about the number 2 pick. Speaking of 2, we'll talk about, there we go. My number 1, but the draft board number 2, wide receiver. So obviously it's not news to anyone that Matthew Golden is going to the NFL. Boy, if we had him back, that would be a game changer for the 2025 team. He's not coming back. He's going to go earn his checks in the next level, and I think he's going to do very well. We also lost some other guys. Isaiah Bond, really kind of like a theoretical guy by the end of the year, not really someone you could count on. We've got some young guys waiting in the wings, but we're not sure if they're quite ready yet. I want to go out and get a do-anything wide receiver. I'm actually open. I think we could use someone outside to complement Wingo. I also think we could use someone in the slot. If we could get someone who's a quality, high-level slot receiver in the spring, I think that would be very helpful for Arch Manning. It's always a nice security blanket. I'm also willing to entertain a 6'4", 200-pound guy you can line up out on the edge, either with or opposite Wingo, and create some indecision and make defenses make a choice with their safeties about who they're going to cover and how. So I like a wide receiver. Maybe 2. I don't know. What do you think, Ian? If we get the one right tool, as to quote Anton Chigurh in No Country for Old Men, that's foolish. You choose the one right tool. Do we go for the one right tool, or do we go for a couple of guys and hope one of them pans?
Well, they'll have had the benefit of spring practice. I think if the young guys are all showing you a lot, you still maybe get the one right tool. If you can get a starting caliber outside receiver or even slot, you go do that. But maybe you go a little heavier if the spring doesn't look like these guys are going to be ready in time.
Yep.
We were both saying before the show, like, this season right now, any acceptable outcome for this season is on the follows from Ryan Wingo maximizing as a really good star player this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Wingo becoming a sophomore star is pretty much required for Texas to fulfill its ultimate dreams and ambitions.
Yeah, there's other doors. There's other doors that could have nice prizes on the other side, but the vast majority of the good ones have Ryan Wingo maximizing. So
60 to 75 catches minimum. That's what we're looking for, and big impact. Fully capable of doing that and delivering that, by the way. All right, Ian, let's talk about your next pick, the 3rd pick overall, but your 2nd pick. Who you got?
I would like to get a starting cornerback.
Ooh, interesting.
Corner, not quarter.
Oh, okay. You're not going to bench Arch. All right.
Not going to bench Arch. 100% of the scenarios where Texas is good next year involve Arch being awesome. Another corner would be nice.
You don't see us fulfilling our upside potential with Arch as like a game manager, gutty winner kind of guy?
Not really.
He needs to take over games.
Not unless Baxter has like a bionic leg now or something, you know.
It's possible.
It's possible that a slot corner, a nickel, could do the job here. If that lets you play Gilbo and Muhammad as your outside guys, I think that might be good. Or just another starter. They may not need this if Kobe Black makes a huge leap this offseason. And for corners to make that kind of leap in year 2 is not that wild at all. We've seen it. Whenever you have a legitimately good NFL caliber corner, you usually see it by the sophomore year, right? Especially when they're like a traits-based guy or it's like a huge freak athlete.
Yeah, I think that's true because a lot of it's their understanding of coverages, and I think we're gonna be a zone-heavy team again this year. Yeah. And I think you've got to get a corner who understands that. You mentioned the nickel might do the job here. I agree with you. I was not skeptical of Jahdae Barron being able to play corner. In fact, I thought that was his best utilization. And you and I have talked about that for years, in fact.
Yeah.
I am skeptical of Jaylon Guilbeau outside. I don't know if he has the raw foot speed or quickness to be put on an island in certain situations. And even when you play zone, there are times when your corner is going to be on an island. He may have a limited route tree to defend, but he doesn't have a lot of help depending on how the offense lines up. So I'm skeptical that Jaylon Guilbeau is a corner, but he might be our best answer there. I'm not sure.
I think playing off a lot in the cover 3 like they did last year, I think he'd probably be just fine.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, you might be right.
Let's go to our next pick.
Yep, let's go ahead.
The 4th pick overall, my 2nd pick, tight end. I think the last 2 seasons, if anything, have proven the value of a high-level tight end in a complete offense. This is a position, particularly at the college level, that is often forgotten and overlooked in coverages and is often a pretty significant mismatch for college personnel. They're too big for safeties and they're too fast for linebackers. And we saw that with Ja'Tavion Sanders, and we really saw that with Gunnar Helm, who amazingly was a more threatening player than Ja'Tavion Sanders. And Ja'Tavion Sanders set the Texas all-time single-season receiving record for tight ends, broken immediately the next year by his understudy, Gunnar Helm, who had 60 freaking catches. I don't know if we need 60 out of that position, but boy, I think we could really use a quality tight end. I'll take best available. If they offer some value add as a blocker too, I will greedily take that. But even if it's a receiving first kind of guy who's a mismatch guy, I'll take that because Steve Sarkisian has shown himself more than adept at scheming that position open. What do you think, Ian?
I think it was low-key kind of a huge blow to the team that Amari Niblack is not that guy. Like they had that guy and he transferred out. And I noted, I was like, that's bad. Like, and especially Arch Manning, you watch his uncles or you watch him at Isidore Newman, and the tight end was a huge part of the offense. And for the Mannings in the pro style, it's such a great like matchup indicator and tool for a cerebral quarterback to use the tight end to figure out what the defense is doing. And it's like the adjusting piece. And so I was like, I think losing Niblack is really bad. And people were like, well, obviously he wasn't good. And it's like, it doesn't matter. Him not ending up to be good is just as bad as him being good and transferring out. It doesn't matter. This is indicating that it was a miss. And that now it's all Jordan Washington, unless you get your wish and they find somebody.
Yeah. Outside of Keelan Robinson, the Bama pipeline not working out real well for us. The 4-star Bama retread needs another chance, opportunity guy. They probably need to go take in those opportunities at University of Houston, not Texas.
I want to know what happened with Niblack, because he was pretty great in Alabama.
There's a reason he played a lot fewer snaps by the end of the year than the beginning. He had pretty big deficits. So, yeah, unfortunate. I never thought he was going to hit. I never thought Jaleel Billingsley was going to hit. There's just too many other factors coming together. I've seen that kind of guy before, and they rarely pan. So, You know who always pans out when you're buying a house, Ian?
I do.
A gentleman named Gabe Winslow. 832-557-1095. Gabe is short for Gabriel, as in the angel Gabriel. And you'll think he's heaven sent if you're going to go buy a house. He's the best at what he does. Over 20 years in the industry. He's owned a title company. He knows every aspect and every part of buying a house. He's going to partner with you and solve problems that have a lot more to do than just the mortgage. He's just a tremendous asset to have in your corner. And we have had reams of folks who are watchers of this YouTube channel or listeners to our different podcasts, and they've used Gabe and just rave about his services. He's just great at what he does. This is the most important financial decision that you'll make in your life. Get the right people on your team. Gabe's got a law degree, huge amount of experience in the industry, former National Merit Scholar. This guy operates at a very different level from the average mortgage guy. Give him a call and find out why. 832-557-1095. All right. Gabe is number one on the draft board for mortgage guys. But we're moving down the draft board on receiver and positions of need, tight end, etc. Now we're starting to get into some more interesting stuff here, Ian. What do we need to protect Mr. Manning? What do we need to keep number 16 upright other than his legs and his feet?
Kyron already anticipated me. I would like to add another offensive tackle to this team.
Okay.
They have right now Trevor Gooseby. We feel really good about him. And then the other guys that have played snaps at right tackle are Andre Kojo. I don't know if he is a playoff caliber tackle or not. Brandon Baker, who I think will be, but I'm not sure if he's there yet or not. This is only his second year. And I guess technically Malik Agbo could maybe be there as well. I don't know what his weight looks like right now. But he didn't do anything last year, and the year before that, he was the jumbo tight end. It would be nice to have a sure thing. And it doesn't have to be even another NFL guy, although that would sure be great to have bookend NFL athletes. But someone to be like big and reliable and doesn't handicap any of your run schemes.
Yeah, I agree. I think we do need a tackle, whether a starter or a number 3. I think that would be very valuable. One thing that Kelvin Banks has done, in addition to the Sam Cosmes of the world, is they've distorted the average fan's perception of how quickly an offensive tackle can be ready. And just understand these guys are freaks and outliers for a reason. And the expectation is Brandon Banks is just going to step into tackle and, play at an all-conference level. He might do that. But to count on that is insane. And even if he does, we still need a number 3 guy that we can really trust. I don't know enough about Andre Kojo, and I don't think the coaches know enough about Andre Kojo to know if he's going to be that guy.
Yeah, he's only a redshirt sophomore, I think, himself.
Yes.
So, yeah.
All right. Now we're coming down to some interesting choices. I've got a choice that may surprise people, but I think there might be an argument that this guy should be drafted higher.
Yeah.
Running back. People say, what? We have Cedric Baxter. We have Jarrett Gibson. We have Christian Clark's coming back. We have, these guys. Hey, here's the reality. This is pro football. and our sentiment, well, laudable. Cedric Baxter is a guy who we've counted on to be the man 2 consecutive years. And for 2 consecutive years, he's gotten pretty significant injuries and not been able to come through on that regard. Not his fault. And I think he's a guy who's going to rehab hard. I think he's a talented guy. I think he's a team first guy. He's not someone that can be counted on, frankly, until he can be counted on. Like, we need actual evidence that he can finish a season as the lead back, or at least the 1B in a rotation, before we just hand the starting job to him, Ian. Clark, unfortunately, if you know anything about Achilles, the odds that he comes back as the running back that he was are not the fat part of the bell curve. And I'll just leave it at that. Jarrett Gibson certainly showed us some stuff that was good. if he can overcome the fumbling and get a little better at blocking, I think that he's a guy that can be very serviceable in a rotation. I don't see a lead back on the current roster until proven otherwise. What do you think, Ian?
And then there's Wisner.
There's Wisner, too. I left out, of course, the most reliable, dependable guy. I think his best use is as a change-up, third down back. He obviously showed that he's game to be the lead back if needed. I don't think that's his optimal use, and I don't think that's our best upside as a football team.
I think we're also both wary of him holding up to a 200-plus carry season again, right?
Correct.
Here's another confounding variable. Last year, Texas was a predominantly outside zone team. And outside zone tends to simplify things for the running back and turn one-cut, simple guys into effective players. If they are more inside zone based this year, inside zone, ideally your running back can read linebackers and manipulate them and create vertical gaps by like playing a very instantaneous game of like cat and mouse with the linebacker.
It's kind of like I'm putting my foot in the hole you think I'm going into, but no, I'm cutting to the other side. You've already committed. I'm a better athlete than you, and now I've gapped you.
Yes, exactly. And I don't know, the guy of this group that I would say had the best like lateral jump cut type ability was the guy that you just mentioned as blowing out his Achilles.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever really seen that in Baxter. I know I don't think he even ran outside zone in high school, but I would watch his highlights and be like, that's an outside zone running back. And this position makes me really nervous right now.
Yeah, depending on how it develops in the spring and our offseason goes and recovery for Baxter and probably to a lesser extent Clark, this could be actually a dire situation, and it might move up my draft board. It might move up your draft board as well. What do you think?
Yeah. As soon as we laid it out pre-show and you said running back, I was like, oh, you know what? I may take a running back over another bite at the apple at defensive tackle even.
Yeah, it could be that serious of a priority. The other thing is good running backs are generally available in the portal.
Yes. If Texas goes another season without a NFL caliber lead running back, that is a huge indictment on the program and the position coach and everybody.
So what would you say to the fans?
Hard, right?
What would you say to the fans who are a little surprised that we think running back could be such a priority? Because I think a lot of people are assuming, it just seems to me they have a default assumption of a healthy CJ Baxter who rushes for 1,500 yards. And we've had 2 attempts of that, and then we're 0 for 2. So everyone's like kind of certain that it's going to happen in this third year. It's not his fault. We're just stating reality.
Yeah, the ACL too. It's that used to be like a career ender, right?
Until Adrian Peterson healed from one in like a week and a half.
I wonder if he got some of the same medicine that Adrian Peterson probably had or not.
Well, hey, pre-medicine, there are just people that are freaks. I don't know if you know this, but Steve Young, the great NFL and BYU quarterback, when he was at BYU, he tore his ACL. And he was like, yeah, it kind of hurts, but I can play through it. And he wore a brace. And then they x-rayed him again and checked him out at the end of the season. And it had healed. Thus, the nickname the Mormon Superman was.
Oh, that's from, obviously caffeine is poison.
Hey, it is proof that clean living will heal up your knee. There's no doubt about that.
So the rest of us are all poisoning ourselves every morning with our coffee.
Yeah, the point is these guys aren't necessarily like us. And who knows if what he can do and what his capabilities are. But what used to be, Gale Sayers famously tore his ACL, and that like ended his career basically. He became a very different running back after that. Now it's just sort of, there's an expectation of recovery and you'll get back to your full powers. We just don't know if it's going to be this year or the year after.
Yeah.
And how long can you hold CJ Baxter on your roster making NIL, right? That's the other factor.
College football is very unforgiving in this regard.
The new college football, you're going to have to approach it in a very hard-headed, pragmatic, unsentimental way, because there is a bit of a zero-sum game with how you distribute your resources, not just monetarily, but your snaps, Ian. When you give a bunch of snaps to a guy in the spring and the fall, and then he blows out his knee or has another injury in September, you've wasted the development that could have happened for another running back.
Yeah, I remember you were barking about that all offseason with Jalen Catalon. And you're like, hey, it's not just that he may not be good. It's also that if he plays and he gets injured, but he's been eating up all those reps, now his replacement doesn't have those reps.
That's it. Yeah, and Jalen Catalon, great ending to this story. He actually kind of got back to almost his old self at UNLV, his final season.
Yeah.
He had a great year for the Running Rebels. So
I thought he actually had a decent start for Texas too, but he got hurt like pretty early. So you know what? One of my rules for the offseason is the more names you have to read at a position to arrive at an answer, the less likely it is that you actually have like the one right tool.
Yeah, well, that used to be my old. I mean, for years I've said fans frustrate me because they'll talk about the depth chart, and we got a lot of names, we got a lot of guys, we got a lot of depth here, and I'm like, the fact that you rattled off 6 names is proof that you don't have the 2 names that we need, or the 1 name that we need. Just having a bunch of names under a position is not depth. It just means you have a bunch of names, and Texas fans learned that lesson the hard way the last decade before the Sark revival. So, all right, well, this is kind of what Ian and I think we should be targeting. If you think there's additional positions that we're missing on, hey, bring it on. Or if you are quibbling with some of our order, or if you think we need to bench Arch Manning and go get a guy, from Division I AA, hey, we're open to hear it. Let us know in the comments. As always, please make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate you. This is a fun audience that we have here for the deep dive. We know it's folks who would like to talk football at a little bit of a different level, and we welcome and enjoy all of you. So, Ian, any final parting thoughts on this draft?
This draft has me less excited. All the more it's like Wingo and Manning better be so good next year.
Yeah, Wingo, Manning, we need to find sort of an emergent second receiver that we weren't expecting. A Parker Livingstone, a DeAndre Moore, somebody needs to kind of take it to the next level in a surprising way. And hey, here's the good news, Ian. We've consistently been surprised and delighted by the development of guys that we weren't necessarily anticipating taking a rise the last 3 years, particularly the last 2 years. And we talked about one of them, Gunnar Helm. I mean, if you had him penciled in for 60 catches and 7 touchdowns and big games against some of our biggest opponents, hey, you're a better football analyst than us, because our expectations for Gunnar Helm were like, he's going to surprise, he's going to catch 35 balls. Yeah. So I think the good news about this new regime is that people surprise us all the time, and that's a sign of a good program.
Yes.
For Ian Boyd, I'm Paul Wadlington saying, thanks for doing this deep dive.